Welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread. First card flying out of the deck. Can I please have the second card? Thank you so much. What do we have here? We've got here a Page of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our 2 of Cups in its reversal. All right, let's talk a little bit about this retrograde energy, right? Because some of this work, it allows, in order for something new to come in, other things potentially need to be energetically broken to a certain extent. There's a lot of this message is coming through here. But what is beautiful that we see that is also happening here during this retrograde period, the recognition and the identification point as it relates to what feels like it is energetically helpful, what feels like it is restorative, right? Because when things fall apart in this way, what is the gift that happens? It allows for that observation as to whether there's that feeling or need to energetically mend something, or being able to come into that pathwork of healing and recognition of what feels like it is in alignment to you. There's a lot of this work right now. And so even now, and this is why I'm going to say it even now, working through a lot of that path work, identifying and recognizing a lot of this seriousness of energetic intention that we see that is occurring across all of the frequencies. This is, I want to say, being able to put one's finger upon it. Right? This is the ability of being able to recognize and identify like what one needs to do as it relates to healing something, or what one needs to do in relationality to healing the self in the process. Now, for a lot of the energy right now, this type of work that we're effectively seeing, it's not easy, right? It's frustrating. It's navigating those frustrations, if you will. But what is the beauty, right? And this is why so much of this work right now in the retrograde is articulating upon overcoming obstacles, right? Because that observation of identifying and recognizing what is within one's own self to change versus what is outside of oneself to accept, this is also re-amplifying one's deeper sense of purpose. Now, this is having a different impact depending on where you find yourselves on the frequency cycles. For masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, the recognition and the understanding, and I'm going to say it may have to do right now with relationships outside of energetic partnership. This may have to do with a lot of that navigating as it relates to what feels like it is restorative versus what feels like it is from a place of someone taking something too personally. Why? Because we keep on getting the same message that's been coming through right now for the energy deep within divine union. When you're on that pathwork of purpose, you're not necessarily taking things personally because your focus is determinative and driven on what it is that you're trying to work towards. This is heavy, right? This is the gift that the amplification of partnership feels like it is energetically supporting to a certain extent. Because for a lot of that energy deep within divine union, that ability of working through, navigating those frustrations, but feeling the mutuality as it relates to the reinforcement or the fortification of partnership to a certain degree, we see even now that that is the work that occurs that allows for that sense of adaptability, right? This is that Sagittarius full moon energy that is coming into play, taking those new approaches, right? Not doing something thoughtlessly, but moving with a lot of that intentionality. And so this, to a certain extent, is where we see that a lot of this deeper healing is occurring, because this is the energy that is working on healing the self to a certain degree, not just like this is like inner child healing to the deepest degree, because this is the energy that's creating that effective framework by which they're not taking something personally, but they're just being very introspective upon it. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this energy that we recognize and identify that is coming into divine union at this time, this is the observation, and I have to say, this is some energy coming into divine union that is recognizing the impact of that energetic partnership, potentially on the relationships surrounding the self, right? Because a lot of this investiture, I see even now, there's that modality of recognizing and identifying that when we move, and this is why that message was coming through about that sense or that space of being able, like when you're on that pathwork of purpose, you have to be ready to energetically disappoint those around you. Because if these are the energies that are prioritizing one another in a deeper degree, that ability of seeing the impact and not just feeling that, but putting that into tangible action. We see even now, like there's a lot of that work that we see that the energy is currently experiencing as it relates to navigating energetic disappointment, working through a lot of that vector, right? And I see even now some of that message in saying that when we move with priority, we have to be effectively recognizing that the ability to, not take something personally, that here, this is like, I see even now, like this is a little bit of that hairiness that is occurring right now for the energy coming into divine union. And it may feel surprising, right? I see that some of that energy may be feeling a little bit of that sense of surprise, because that observational point, when you see someone moving in that way, it's not really something that you can be corrective of. It's just something that you just be very patient, like you're just observant to, right? So this is heavy, because I see even now there's a lot of that energy building into that pathwork of intimacy via the recognition point of what that feels like. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now, this is like new energy. This is like new energy. This is fresh start energy to a certain extent. There's a lot of this work that we see that is just the amplification, if you will, in recognizing and identifying how far one has come. And the important thing I see even now is I see a lot of those new partnerships that are starting to come together. But the reason, and this is where the retrograde can feel very difficult, the reason that these energies are moving towards one another very trepidatiously is because it is the amplification of recognizing and feeling the weight of trying to identify and determine if the intentions are serious, if one's intentions are pure. And this is hard right now because with the retrograde, a lot of that feeling, like what's the lesson that the retrograde says? Don't assume that the past is repeating. Don't let the past cast a shadow on the present. Learn the lessons from the past. Let them inform you and guide you forward, but leave yourself open to the possibility of what could occur in that space. This is the energy that holds their past gently, right? They don't throw it away. They don't hold on to it too tightly. They hold it just right. They hold on to it enough that they look upon it, they observe, but they don't feel longing towards it. That ability, again, Sagittarius moon, being able to look at something with a sense of observation and curiosity, but letting like one's own, like that sense of, again, that identification in terms of how far one has come. This is the energy that looks back on the past because they build that pathwork of appreciation in seeing something differently than they may have seen it before. Center card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here, we like this, we've got here the Justice card coming through in the center of the spread today. So that ability of finding balance. Balance is key today, right? Don't, hear me out, don't get triggered. I know it's hard. There's a little, and I need to stress this right now, there's a little bit of, I'm seeing here in some of these cards that are coming up together, a little bit of this like they started it kind of energy here. Listen to me. I'm going to be your cosmic mother for a minute. I don't care who started it. Okay? I don't care. Okay? The universe does not care who started it. Who started it doesn't matter. What you do with it. What you do with it is what matters, okay? Remember that today, okay? It's not about feeling, right? Because a lot of these are like, this is giving me a little bit of these alarm bells here. Just, just because you have the right doesn't mean it's right, okay? Just because you have a right doesn't mean it's right. Let that intentionality guide you today, okay? Because this is saying to me, there's a lot of that feeling today, that high caliber work as it relates to balance. And a lot of that balance, working upon that can feel hard, right? That can feel difficult. But when you allow yourself to be patient, right? When you allow yourself to contemplate, right? That's a lot of that work that we see. Remember, we spoke a lot about cruise control to a certain extent, recognizing what is within what's within yourself to change versus what is outside of yourself to navigate today. That is going to be very helpful and important. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming in, and for a lot of the energy in separation, this feeling of balance, this is what is allowing these new partnerships to occur, right? It's feeling that balance, because what did we say that some of the energy was experiencing yesterday? I don't want to be here, but I'm glad to be here. Sounds like a paradox, right? It's not. Because when we say that sense of saying, I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here, right? I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. That is the call that a lot of the energy is having right now in separation, which indicates the sense of someone saying, I did not expect my energetic journey to lead me to this point, but I have found myself here, right? This is the energy that's saying, hello, nice to meet you. A lot of new introductions here because the energy is finding themselves and they're finding others on that pathwork in the process. So, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. A lot of this work that I see even now, feeling that sense of energetic balance, right? I can see even now there's a little bit of that work that's occurring here as energy is moving deeper into divine union, right? You feel, you get some of that turbulence. You feel a bit of that turbulence as you move towards divine union, specifically and particularly because when you're creating something energetically that was not there before, when you put something into something, what happens? Like if you drop something into water, what occurs? There's an impact. So we see even now that sense or that space of feeling that energetic impact. A lot of that work right now, this is the energy coming into divine union, seeing how those waves impact the energy around them. And some of those energies are playing in those waves, right? Some of those energies are gleeful in it. But that sense or that space of feeling the dysregulation that may occur in partnerships outside of a core partnership as you move deeper into divine union, that can be painful. That can be profound. That can feel revelatory, right? And so I see a lot of energy is trying to come to terms, if you will, in relationality to experiencing some of that static at a moment that they're feeling a lot of energetic peace. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming deeper into divine union, like deep within divine union, a lot of this, like this is the energy deep within divine union, navigating frustrations. That's what I mean. Like this is hardest right now for the energy deep within divine union, because you can see how integral this type of energetic frequency is for the energy coming into divine union. While for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, it feels, I want to say, it is that sense that requires one to go within the self, because it doesn't feel like it's doing something of import. It feels like it's just frustrating. It feels like it is unnecessary. It feels aggravating. But what is the joy or the possibility that occurs when we're navigating aggravation? It helps us find peace within the self. It helps us find, like, give me peace. It's that type of energy. So that's why I'm saying even now, especially for the energy deep within divine union right now, I don't care who started it. All right. Be your own cosmic mother today, okay? You got to be the voice of reason. And if you're around a bunch of energy that's being unreasonable, then that's your job today, okay? You heard me tell you that. Next two cards in our 5-card spread for today are bum, bum, bum. We've got here our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our 3 of Swords in its reversal. So again, this is like, it's requiring you, like, sometimes you just got to keep the energetic, like, I got to tell you, some days just keeping the energetic peace, you're just doing the best bang up job. I am so proud of you today. I'm going to tell you right now, if all you do today is keep the peace, God, like, just, I'm so happy for you. Like, you've done it. Because some of this energy, I can even see it, like, now I just see it. This is like, give me peace. Like, give me, like, it's requiring, and I need to say even now, a little bit about that is requiring that work in terms of understanding that sometimes the greatest strength one has is being energetically patient. Right? Patience is a power. Patience is a gift beyond measure. Right? Because when we care about things, when we love them, what do we give them? We give them the energetic gift of patience. So we see even now that ability of navigating difficult circumstances patiently, right? That it's not the patience of uncaring. It is the patience of having that impact or having that import wherein you ask others to be patient with you in the process, right? So there's a lot of work right now that I see that is occurring in relationality to, and I you know, this is all like, this is why all these retrogrades are so frustrating, because we've got that Sagittarius full moon. What does the Sagittarius full moon want to do? Wants to just run, like, just wants to jump over things, right? Like the Sagittarius full moon is like, it's like line cutter energy. You know, it's jumping the energetic obstacle. And then wait, be patient, right? So it's working through a lot of that today. So just work, like, be focused on that. Don't tell me, I don't want to hear anybody say, but I don't want to hear any buts. The minute you say but, what you're saying is, I moved out of intentionality, but I had a reason to, right? Like, let that be that space of just absorbing and allowing for that sense of the patience that you are requiring, you're also giving to those around you. I know it's not easy. Now, for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union, that is like the overarching message. But for the energy right now coming into divine union, this is painful. This is painful because this is, I see even now, energy talking about things outside of partnership. But even in that way, it's the recognition of, this is the energy that is the identification of that space of that fundamental thing that you're creating with another, and seeing and observing like what that occurs around others, right? So even now, remember how I told you a lot of that lesson that we were seeing a few days ago was the energy deep within divine union, navigating the energetic egos of those around them. This is some of that lesson that is reaching the energy that is coming into divine union right now. Because a lot of that same feeling, if you're in that modality of articulating something that feels celebratory and another person articulates displeasure upon it, we see even there that moment of experiencing it, it's not something that you desire to change, right? But recognizing and identifying that it feels, I can see someone, like I see some energy right now coming into divine union, feeling saddened that their energetic piece isn't being received in that fashion, right? So this is some hard work that may be occurring right now. But I need to point out that that's a lot of the energy coming into divine union, not focusing so much on the prioritization of the partnership, but the area surrounding it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, this is new. These are new. These are some big, like, these are some big partner, like these are some very very balanced partnerships I see that are starting right now. And the reason I say that, and I just want to show you these cards so you can understand the journey that's occurring right now for masculine and feminine in separation, right? Look at the masculine right now. Cups reversed, right? Look at the feminine right now. Queen of Pentacles reversed. These are energies that are finding themselves at a point of healing. It's not that they're perfect, right? But this is the energy that's almost saying to themselves, I don't have to be perfect to find a counterpart. I need to find a counterpart that's in alignment towards me, right? And so even here, this is beautiful because this is a very, very like, this is a very, and I'll tell you one thing I'm seeing here that I like. A lot of these new energetic connections that are forming, what are we seeing here? Consistency. They're giving each other the gift of consistency. So these are profoundly healing partnerships that are starting to take form right now. I know it's not in the most ideal, right? That's what was coming through. Remember, not the most ideal of circumstances. That's why I keep hearing the message of someone saying, I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Cups in its reversal and our Two of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Bum, bum, bum. The World card. That is the combination of what I just was articulating upon, right? I didn't expect to find myself here, but I'm glad. I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. So there's a little bit of that sense of, again, feeling energetic peace in the midst of discord, right? Like in the midst of feeling things that are difficult, right? In the midst of going through, navigating frustration, here we find energy that is building a consistent chord with one another in the process, right? So a lot of that consistency, if you will, a lot of that energetic balance we see even now. This is the energy. These are conscientious partnerships that are forming at this time. And that conscientiousness isn't the energy that's overly, like when we say conscientiousness, that's not the energy that's navigating from the conscientious of the ego, like the ego that looking around, caring what others care about. This means conscientious as it relates to the energy being conscious of themselves as they build towards counterpart connections. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing at this time, a lot of this recognition, a lot of this unpacking, as it were, this is that I want to say, this is working that through. This is the, like, I see even now, it feels like I can see the energy coming into divine union, feeling the frustration point, because while something is coming together for them, partnership wise, there's some energies around them in the process that are hitting that turbulence. And in those moments, when you're experiencing something that feels positive, if another feels energetic turbulence at the time that you articulate it, it can feel very profound. It can feel very informing, right? And so I see even now, like, this is the energy that is recognizing and identifying this. And this isn't the energy that's having that sense, or like, this is the observation that whenever we create something for ourselves, we have to be ready to disappoint those around us in the process, right? So we see even now, like, a little bit of that energy. That is the energy that is prioritizing what they're creating together. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is just like, I see even now, like, this is the energy in divine union just being like it's not like, and that's what I mean. You see, it's fundamental. This type of energy is fundamental for the energy in separation and the energy coming into divine union. For the energy deep within divine union, it just feels frustrating. It's navigating the frustration. It's navigating the frustration and allowing for that internal journey, if you will, right? Because this isn't the energy when they feel that point of frustration that articulates out. They go deeper. So working through that right now, like a lot of that work, it's hard because I see even now, like this is the energy that's trying to move, like trying to be conscientious, if you will, as it relates to how to navigate difficulty or how to navigate frustrations, especially if they don't feel like they are necessary, right? But again, and that's why I see even now, what is the difference between a groove and a rut? It's when something jams up, you sometimes find a better way. So that's why I'm saying even now, say to oneself, they're like, I appreciate the opportunity I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity to see something a different way. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Justice card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Swords in its reversal. Again, I have to say, I know that this energy of this retrograde is very intense, but it feels very restorative. Like there's a little bit of this energy here in the retrograde that has to do with how far one has come. It has to do with a lot of that feeling or a lot of that sensation in relationality to viewing the past in a different context. And what's nice about that is for a lot of the energy across all of the frequencies, I told you, being able to hold the past with like an open palm, if you will, right? Not holding on to it too tightly, not building bitterness by holding on to it too tightly, not letting it go entirely and losing the energetic lesson, but holding the past just right. Being able to look at it with a sense of objectivity and curiosity. This is a big amplification of the energy that's finding a point of balance, because this is the energy that we see to a certain extent that is navigating forward in such a way that the past is informing them. It's not shaping them, right? Now that, like even here for energy deep within divine union, that ability of looking, like when we navigate frustration and we're in a place of energetic peace, we don't feel that volatility point in wanting to like return something that doesn't feel like it's working. We try to look in terms of seeing how we can make something easier, right? We recognize that everyone around us is going through the same energetic challenges. So we see even now that there's a little bit of that ability of finding breakthroughs right now, coming into that point of accommodation that is the act of compassion, if you will. While for masculine and feminine energy, and this is the energy that is holding themselves with that same degree of compassion, and it's giving them a compassion, like a compassionate perspective, potentially even in circumstances or situations that they may have felt more volatility in the past. While for masculine, and because the peace that we find in ourselves is the peace that we give to those around us. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, a lot of this work that we see that is occurring right now for the energy coming into divine union, that is why, if these are energies right now where they're feeling the peace of the energetic connection and the feeling of celebration in being able to share with others what that peace is, if that creates volatility in another, it creates a space of pausing, right? But it doesn't change one's own direction, right? Because that sense or that space of another taking one's path work personally, that is the amplification I see even now in recognition to what feels like it is restorative, what feels like it is the amplification of celebrating one's own healing versus what feels like it is oppositional to it, right? And that recognition of that observation, it can feel saddening, right? But sometimes we see things, and sometimes we see things that are sad. This isn't energy that changes their direction in the face of that. This is energy that reaffirms their own energetic connection as they continue to move forward. Some bittersweetness that's potentially happening right now in some of these connections. While for energy and separation right now, this is what I mean about this being a beautiful moment for some of these connections that are happening right now. They're very peaceful, right? They're holding their past with an open palm, which is one that they're open to speak towards it. They look at it often. They don't hold on to it too tightly. They don't drop it altogether, right? And that ability of seeing someone that's holding their past with an open palm, this is the palm that can be clasped that allows one to move forward into new energetic connection. Because this is the energy that, again, articulates and says to each other, I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. Continuing to get clarification between our Justice card in its upright in combination with our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with your Five of Swords in its upright. Look at all these past cards, bumping heads here, right? Looking at these past cards, bumping heads. This is the frustration that we're feeling today. These two cards, look at this. These are two different directions in relationality to how one holds the past, right? Like, what are you, craning your neck? You craning your neck? Like, it's a little bit of that kind of energy, right? It's like that, like, but again, that space of being able to navigate in such a way, the openness and being able to articulate upon something. We see even now, like, oh, and this is what's difficult here too, especially with this like Justice card. Don't listen. Don't take stuff personally today. Don't you dare assume. Don't you dare assume anything. If you have a question, ask a question. Don't run off your assumptions today, because I guarantee if you run off your assumptions, you're going to run straight into the wrong direction. Because again, right? And this is what we have to navigate right now. The retrograde slows things down. The retrograde confounds things. The retrograde confuses things. What does the Sagittarius new moon energy, the Sagittarius, new moon energy isn't helping things because it creates that skittishness, right? It creates that sense of like wanting to jump the starting line, right? Like that's a little bit of that like eager to go kind of energy. So what do you do when you're experiencing the slowdown of the retrograde in combination with the force of the Sagittarius new moon that's act first, think later? You don't do that. You move intentionally, right? You observe your own immediate reactivity point. And you ask yourself, does that seem like the reasonable thing to do? Don't just move today like in that state of being reactive. Today's not the day for it. Today's not that day. Today's the day to be energetically balanced. Well, and being patient, right? Because we see even now, and especially in relationality to circumstances of the past, right? Don't be hasty. Be intentional. So being able to kind of be observable in that way, being considerate, like putting some consideration towards things. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is, in separation, I told you, this is that same feeling, the open palm. Like this is how this energy is feeling, is healing. And this is why there's a slow approach right now for the energy coming into union. Because I see even now, someone that has that is able to like both moving towards someone that has that openness in relationality to their past, isn't cagey about it, but isn't over fixated on it. Like this is the energy that's looking at something and saying like that person's like they're just right in that modality because they contemplate it, they don't agonize upon it, right? This is the energy that again says, and look, this is the articulation of that sentence. I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here, right? So a lot of new energy, a lot of beautiful possibility right now for the energetic connections forming. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we see that is occurring right now as they're coming into divine union, this is the energy that is potentially recognizing the import or the impact of their connection that is being amplified and articulated upon specifically in seeing, and this is the energy like around the partnership that's either in that modality of celebrating or ruminating, right? Like, and in those moments of feeling that sense of energetic balance, the thing about it is when we're on a pathwork of purpose, seeing how it impacts others, we can be curious of it, we can be introspective to it, we can be empathetic towards it, but it doesn't effectively re-navigate our own energetic direction, right? While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of this work that we see that is occurring right now deep within divine union is the amplification point, if you will, in recognition to not letting yourself feel triggered today. And I can see even now a lot of that energy being like, you know, feeling that instinct of what you feel the right to do versus knowing what is right today is going to be important, because a lot of that work is, again, you know, just because someone gives you their, like, gives you, like, this is like the straw into gold. Just because someone gives you some like stuff that's not ideal, you don't need to add more to that. You don't need to, like, don't let today be a day you're making junk. Let it be a day that you're taking the junk and you're turning into gold. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Three of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ten of Cups in its upright. I like this. We've got a lot of this, like that Ten of Cups, like is beautiful here. You know, peace is not found outside the self. Peace is found within the self. And so I see even now that state or that space. This is why for the energy deep within divine union, right? What do you do when you navigate something that's energetically unfair? Do you move into that modality of articulating on the unfairness, or you do what you can with what you find, right? There's a little bit of this energy here for the energy within divine union that's almost saying today is like a day is like, make it work. Make it work, right? And so when you make it work, you know, you don't force it. Like, you don't force something. You can't force something to work, right? You have to be patient as you allow something, as you trust in what is within your own power to change versus what is outside of one's own power to accept. I know that's not like the most ideal message to receive today, but doing that, like that, having that sense of recognition is what allows us to be able to find those innovation points during the retrograde cycles. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is why I'm seeing here that there's something that is potentially occurring right now that feels bittersweet, because some kind of observation in relationality to moving towards, like, there's energy right now coming into divine union that feels like the articulation of their own manifestation goals outwards, right? This is the energy that's feeling a point of celebration because they've worked in that point of repair so much that they're able to move forward to a certain extent. And it's in that articulation, if you will, of that sense of joy. I see in some ways right now it feels like a sense of celebration, because recognizing like what that impact is on the energy surrounding partnership, it feels like a point of joy. I also see even now that there may be some spaces there where it feels like a little bit of that energetic sadness coming in. Because again, if there's a moment that you bring something forward to someone and say to them that you're in that state of contentment, and your contentment another person takes personally, we see even now that requires a lot of difficult unpacking, right? Continuing for a lot of this energy and separation, I just keep hearing a lot of energy and separation saying, I'm ready now. And this is the energy that says, I'm ready now, because the energy says, I've made peace with it, right? Is this the energy that looks at the past and goes, I've made peace with the past, I don't care about the past, I don't think about the past? No, That's not how you make peace with the past. You know, that's disassociating, right? That's disassociating. So this is the energy that says, I've made peace with it. I can look at it, and it doesn't it doesn't energetically trigger me, right? Like that ability of doing so, like that is the point of healing. And I see even now, it's like the energy says, no, it still hurts. Like, of course it hurts. It's like a wound. Like, look, yeah, like it stinks. I've got like a scar there. But this is the energy that says, I can look at it. I can speak towards it. It doesn't trigger me because it doesn't hold me. I hold it. Continuing to get clarification between our world card in its upright in combination with our 7 of swords in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with our 4 of cups in its upright. So that ability, right? That ability of perceiving the past in a different way, right? The energy that says, I'm not bound by my past. I hold my past, right? This is the energy that is effectively ready to move forward, because this is the energy that says, I don't need to be healed entirely from the past. We're never healed entirely from the past. The past is always changing within us. It's a part of us. So this is the energy that feels that sense of being able to move forward, because this is the energy that says, I hold that in a way that it doesn't take both my hands. I can carry it, right? I'm not focused upon it. I hold on to it because it is noteworthy. I hold on to it because the ability to observe upon it, like, allows for that sense of understanding. So we see even now, like, this is a lot of that. This is a beautiful retrograde energy that we're effectively seeing that's occurring right now, because there's a lot of that energy that I see right now that is recognizing that point of healing is the appreciation of the past. Now, let's be clear on that. Appreciation does not mean it's great, everything that ever happened, bang up job. No notes. No, that's not what appreciation means. Appreciation means I identify and recognize the value of something, right? I recognize and identify the value of something. So that ability of someone to look towards something and say, I appreciate it. I appreciate my past. I hold on to it with an open palm, because the appreciation of it allows me to move forward. We see even now that a lot of that energy is healing, and the affirmation they're giving to each other is, I'm not here waiting for someone else. I'm not here waiting for my manifestation. I'm moving towards it with energy that is similarly doing the same. So we see even now, like, a lot of that energy and healing. The slowness of some of these connections is the amplification of the energy that is building confidence in one another via the stability that is occurring in relationality to what they're creating together. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep coming into divine union, I just see that a lot of this energy today is moving deeper into divine union, because that observation and seeing how another navigates what they're seeing that you're creating between you and a counterpart, having to navigate some of that rockiness, having to navigate some of this turbulence. This isn't energy that goes, oh, wait, somebody's got a problem with this, I got to go. No, because when we're building with a context of building with someone, when we're building into a context of prioritization and purpose, we have to be ready to disappoint others along the way. So this is the energy that feels that, observes it, recognizes it, and says, what are you going to do? You know, like, but again, with like the grace and the love and the emotionality in the heart between, again, what is changeable, what is adaptable versus what is integral. Well, for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, this is just frustrating energy today, because again, you can see how foundational so much of this work is for the energy and separation and coming into divine union. But for the energy deep within divine union right now, some of this may just be feeling like it's very triggering, right? It may just be feeling like it's very energetically frustrating. So being able to navigate that energetic frustration in such a way that it doesn't move you off of your own alignment today. That's why I'm going to say again, I am on my hands and knees to the energy deep within divine union right now. Don't be triggered today. Don't be reactive. Be intentional. Be clear. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Five of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification. Two cards coming out to clarify today. Oh, we've got here our High Priestess in its upright in combination with our Hanged Man. So this is, I told you, this is a lot of that patience. This is the patience. This is the energetic patience, if you will. Gotta be patient. Just be patient today. Be patient, please. If you're not going to do it for me, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for me. Just be patient today, okay? Do it for me. Because a lot of that work that we're seeing here, you know, it feels like this is annoying. Like this, I got to tell you, I'm sorry, Hangman energy. It's like, please hold. Please hold. It's about holding the pose. It's annoying. And a lot of that feeling, it's oppositional to some of this Sag new moon energy that we're seeing. Because again, the Sag new moon energy doesn't like to hold a pose, right? It's a lot more of that, like wanting to like move around kind of thing, you know, stretch your legs. So a lot of that feeling today, working through that, it's requiring a bit of that. It's requiring a bit of that steadiness. Now, for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, you know, this is I want to say having a different, it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. It may be feeling more frustrating for masculine energy right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because again, it feels like the kind of obstacles that are just energetically unnecessary. It feels silly. It feels like it's just like working through those annoyances. But remember, when we navigate the annoyances, you know, allowing ourselves to move forward in such a way that we don't, like, again, working through that sense of not increasing. Like, it's not that, don't be that kind of person, be like, if you're going to make me have a bad day, I'm going to make everybody have a bad day. Don't do that today. Like that, it doesn't help, right? So I see even now that there's a lot of that energy as it relates to masculine that is like working on like the power of patience. And when we're building into patience, so much of that patience is such that, you know, like your presence, if you will, you know, being energetically present and articulating and saying, I'm okay. I'm willing to engage in that way. I'm willing to be energetically present. I see even now, like that's effectively what allows for a deeper point of balance, because I see that there are breakthroughs that are occurring today via V, working through energetic patience. For feminine, it's more about trusting the intuition of the higher self today. And a lot of that energy I see even now is requiring the feminine self to trusting, like not feeling confounded by the tangibility of the frustrations and problems. I see even now, like this is a lot of the feminine energy that's just like, you know, tapping into their higher self in the process, right? And trusting that work. This is like, again, not overly internalizing today is key. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, so much of this work that I'm seeing coming into divine union, it feels bittersweet. I see a lot of energy coming into divine union right now. They're navigating the bittersweetness of coming into divine union, specifically and particularly because, you know, and again, if someone's taking your path work personally, if something that you're doing that moves you to a place of joy, another is feeling as like, or articulating from their own frustration towards it. This is the energy that looks at something and says, I'm sorry you feel that way. I want it like, but there's a limitation to what I can effectively do versus my own path work here. So we see even now, like there's either like, there may be like positive celebrations that are occurring here. and also energy that's potentially moving away from, like, having that point of looking at something in a way that they haven't before, via someone not experiencing and receiving something in the way that you may have expected or intended them to. While for energy and separation right now, I'm telling you, this is the new, man. Look at these connections that are forming right now. Look where we find these two. Feminine, trusting the process. Masculine, doing something difficult, but making that intentional choice of doing something difficult, because this is the masculine says, I do what is difficult because I grow stronger in identifying and recognizing myself in the process, right? Heavy, this is heavy energy today, but important and impactful. Continuing to get clarification between our 5 of Swords in combination with our 10 of Cups and its upright today. I love those, to see those two together right now. Knight of Cups, this is good. You see this? Don't be reactive today. Be productive. Focus on what heals. Focus on what helps. If something's going wrong, say, how can I help? What can I do? Right? A little bit of that work here. Recognizing and identifying, but I want to say this, like that space or that energetic patience that we give others, recognizing our own limitations and being patient throughout that process. For feminine, it's requiring, and I want to say, a little bit more of this energetic stability, right? For a lot of the feminine here, I see that ability of being energetically patient, recognizing what is within your own power to do versus what is outside of one's own self. This is allowing for a lot of that amplification, if you will, in relationality to tapping into the higher sense of self today. For masculine, it has more to do with the articulation of the emotions. There's a lot of compassion here that I see that is occurring right now on the part of masculine energy. And this is the architecture that we see is framing a lot of these new connections that are forming during this time. Because for feminine, that ability of looking at the past and holding it with an open palm, this is the energy of the feminine that has their palm open to take the hand of the masculine. For masculine, that ability of, again, looking back at the past but not feeling like one's emotions are guided towards there, but saying, I hold my emotions here. I look at the past because they help me have that compass in relationality to where I'm going. Both of these energies are identifying each other because they can see which direction that they're headed towards. It's not to the past, it's towards the future. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into union, this is, I see a lot of energy right now, and I need to stress this. You know what I'm going to say right now? You know what I'm going to say? If this is energy coming into divine union, and then suddenly someone's coming towards you with some kind of deep heart message, like, this is the difference between the recognition of someone saying, like, working through, like, this is the retrograde at the door, like the difference between the amplification of what is healed is not conducive of seeing what's occurring on another person's pathwork, right? Like that ability of recognizing and understanding. I see a lot of energy saying to someone, I didn't know you felt that way, right? But when you're in that modality of building into a pathwork of purpose, the feelings of another, they don't necessarily move you off of your own pathwork. You do what you can, and this is a difference between what feels like it's flexible versus what feels like it's integral right now, right? So a lot of this is building into the deepening of partnership, but it feels bittersweet because that sense of observation, it doesn't feel like it changes directions. It just feels like it reaffirms one's own commitment in terms of what you're creating for yourself at this moment. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, be patient today. Be patient. Masculine, be courteous. Feminine, be patient. Continuing to get clarification between our 4 of Cups, our High Priestess, and our Hangman in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify, please? Clarification. Coming through right now we've got here our Fool card in its reversal. And I actually like to see the Fool card in its reversal. Why do I like to see this Fool card in its reversal right now? Because that sense of, and we're going to talk a little bit about a little bit of the frustration that we're experiencing and encountering right now in this retrograde cycle. because I told you so much of this retrograde was being built upon the architecture of slowness and calmness. New moon in Sag energy is the opposite of calm. Like the new moon in Sagittarius energy is the opposite of calm. It's like that kickstart, right? It's first gear. It's like vroom, it's vroom energy, right? It's like that vroom. It's like it's a lot of that, like, that engine roar, if you will. So even here, like that ability, like what do you want to avoid when you're in that place of like stillness and then the engines start cranking? Don't false start today. Don't pop off. Don't just do the thing. Be intentional, right? So a lot of that work today for both, this is the lesson that both masculine and feminine are working through today. For feminine, a lot of that work allows for that sense of like, again, when someone, like, I don't mean this in a way of like, when someone says like move forward, move slower, right? This is a lot of that energy. I see that, like, that ability, I can almost see the feminine energy saying like, I'm concentrating, right? Like that ability of focusing or allowing for that point of focus, if you will. This is a lot of I hear the energy of the feminine saying, I don't let things that are outside of my own intentionality break my concentration, right? While for masculine, a lot of that work has to do with recognizing and understanding and having compassion for those that may be more energetically testy today, right? This is the masculine saying, if someone comes towards me in that way, I can understand what they're experiencing and I can not respond in the same way by having empathy for it and being observant of it. Now, for the energy right now in separation, these are new connections forming today. This is beautiful. And I see even now a lot of that energy, even in separation, potentially moving forward, like making some kind of new plans here, like having some kind of energy. And this is the energy that's trusting the process because someone has effectively, I feel like energy are proving to one another that intentionality is shared. That's beautiful here. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, so much of this work that I'm seeing at this time is the energy that has already felt like they've moved forward to a certain extent. And that ability, I need to point this out. If like that sense or that space of someone bringing something towards you as you're moving towards someone, I keep seeing, like, remember, if someone's timing's is terrible, don't let it disrupt your own intentionality, right? Because I keep hearing, like, I'm getting here some of this, like what I like to call, and this is like some of the situations that the energy coming into divine union might need to deal with today. I like to call it the imaginary ice cream, which is someone being like, well, I was going to take you for ice cream, but now that I know that, which is amazing when someone does that, because that's the gift that is created and then disappears just as easily. It's the gift that is created and then disappears in thin air. Like there's a lot of that disappearing, reappearing gift here. So just be mindful of that right now, because there's something about that here that like it feels unnecessary and it feels triggering, but just don't let it like mess with your own like emotionality, because that's what we talked about like working through and healing the ego in the process. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, a lot of this work that we're potentially seeing at this time, like this is what I mean about just being patient right now, giving others the grace that if someone doesn't come towards you in the way that you aspire and desire them to, give them the same grace and compassion that you would expect in return. And I know that's hard sometimes, but you have to kind of be patient right now. Continuing to get clarification right now between our High Priestess, our Hangman, and our Knight of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine, like this is what I mean. And this is what I mean about like there's a lot of this balance work that's occurring today. And this type of balance work, it's like everything just feels like like people can be very like it's typical, like others sometimes get very like snappy when stuff like this is happening, if you're not navigating it well, if you're not regulating through it, because I told you, it's like that Sagittarius new moon hangover where everyone just like kind of like wants to pop off to a certain extent. Don't pop off today. Okay? Don't do it. Like, because again, that sense of being intentional. Like, and here's what I need to stress about this. This doesn't mean that you can't move forward right now during the retrogrades. The retrogrades are a beautiful time, right? We've seen a lot of the work right now in overcoming obstacles, but be very present, like be very present in relationality to what one puts one's intentionality towards today, right? Like if this is that state or space of, and this is why we said like, being like working through and prioritizing today is probably the best way to use energy of this nature, because that way you don't feel like things just keep popping up that are demanding your attention. Be intentional in relationality to that. Like, don't, recognize recognize what that needs to be. While for masculine and feminine right now, this is this sense. This is why I see so much of this energy here is moving forward into new energetic connections, because something that they're receiving in the present connection is reaffirming their own commitment in the difference between what they received in the past versus what they're finding in the present, right? And this is a lot of that energy that's feeling the prioritization and the blessing of energy that moves with particularity, because this is the energy that again doesn't moves with intentionality towards one another, but they also do so with a high level or degree of conscientiousness, because I see here that this is the energy in separation saying I'm healing. So because I'm healing, I'm very conscientious as to who I let in, right? Like there's a lot of that feeling here of the emotional space wherein someone is saying, I'm being very trepidatious because, but I feel like the affirmation I'm seeing here for some energy in separation is feeling that sense of identifying energy that is also healed in that fashion, that is giving that sense or that space of vitality as they move forward at this time. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is what I mean about something like if you're moving forward and you're feeling a lot of that point of of positivity, and someone comes through with like a stop, right? Like one of these kind of things, like a little bit of that energy, it doesn't break your own intentionality and relationality to what you're moving towards. It feels a lot like that it almost feels, I see a lot of energy feeling reaffirmed as it relates to moving forward, because again, I need to say this again, when we heal, we don't interrupt another person's pathwork in the process, because that's the difference between someone saying I'm ready to energetically heal with you, and especially in separation, versus I see even now like a lot of that energy recognizing the power of coming into partnership and energy rising up in the midst of it, that doesn't feel so much like it's coming towards them in a space of celebration, but it almost feels like energy that is frustrating or confounding, because they're taking that pathwork personally, right? So we see even now like having to work through that to a certain extent. This is why I see the energy kind of being considerate towards it, but also it's amplifying like what feels like it's healthy versus what feels like it's a return back to the past. While for a lot of this energy right now deep within divine union, I just see that a lot of this energy deep within divine union at this time is amplifying or articulating upon like so much of this that I'm seeing here. This is just more of that same work. This is a lot. I feel like a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union is working on refinement. Right? And when we're refining, we're getting very exacting. And so I see even now, like a lot of that refinement is potentially even like being able to articulate and recognize and allowing for the gift of the retrograde being in a perspective or point of view that further amplifies one's own energetic commitment in relationality towards what one is creating for one, like with like in the context of partnership. Like I just see this even now, like it feels discerning, but it feels reaffirming. Final card for today's spread between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. Come on, I know you want to come out. Oh, 2 cards coming out today. Final card, 2 cards. We've got here our Two of Swords in its upright and our 6 of Swords in its upright. So this is, I need to stress this. There's so much balance that we see that is occurring right now in these readings. Do you see all this attunement? Do you see all this alignment? We've got that 2 of Swords here. We've got here our Justice card. So a lot of that feeling of discernment that's effectively occurring in this space. And a lot of this, and I need to point this out because we've got all of like all of the past cards popping up here. We got our 6 of Swords. We got our 7 of Swords in its reversal, and we've got our 5 of Swords here. And so I just see that even now, a lot of that energy is the refocus in relationality to how far one has come. And I see even now that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, that recognition or that ability to a certain extent in navigating frustration and like I want to say, like I almost see some of the energy deep within divine union feeling frustration and almost observing themselves as an outside observer in experiencing the frustration, right? Like almost like working through that to a certain degree. This is the energy that's maintaining a wider perspective on something, right? Deep within divine, like this is why the energy isn't getting triggered, because it's just observing it and effectively like facilitating through it to a certain extent. It's triggering, but that's the observation of something that's triggering because it's triggering. Versus again, when something is trying to energetically trigger you, you don't do the luxury of letting it like move you forward in that way. And I see even now like a lot of that energy deep within divine union, the appreciation point that they're giving one another is the recognition of saying to one another, I see what you've navigated, and I know and appreciate what it takes to be able to stay energetically balanced through something that is energetically like something that is difficult. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is why this feels more fundamental and frustrating. Because if this is energy that feels like they're moving deeper into partnership and they're letting go, like because they're working on healing, because they've been focusing on actively healing, and then someone comes forward and says stop outside of partnership, it doesn't feel like it's that modality of experiencing something, and it doesn't feel like it's potentially positive or helpful. It feels like it's trying to move you further away from something that is restoring to you, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, I just hear a lot of this energy in separation saying, I'm ready. I'm finally ready, right? But I have to stress this. This isn't the energy in separation that's saying I'm ready, being like, it's great, I don't even think about the past anymore. This isn't the energy saying I'm ready, being like, I just hold on to the past really tightly and I won't ever let it go. This is the energy that has that open palm, if you will, on the past. And this is the energy that says, I'm ready because I know how to hold it. I found a way to hold it. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is, we have here our 8 of Wands in its reversal. This is the retrograde, right? You know how frustrating it is when you say I'm ready and then the retrograde is like, I'm not. like the retrograde is like the molasses. I see a lot of this energy like navigating the slowness and being like, you know what, I'm ready. And the energy of the retrograde is just like really slow and being like, but there's still more retrograde to go. Just be, try, like, remember, don't get frustrated. Remember, like it's measure twice, cut once kind of energy. It's moving with intentionality. It's being energetically intentional, and and being in that space of working through frustrations at this time. This is just more of that amplification, because I see even now that something about now, and this is what we mean about the difference between a groove and a rut. When we're navigating a frustration, right? When we're navigating a frustration and we don't want to move in a pathwork of determination on something, it becomes very convenient, right? That's the frustration that becomes a convenience point, because it moves us off our own pathwork. When we navigate an energetic hurdle and nothing that we want to navigate, and it just feels like that sense of continuing moving forward to a certain extreme, and you're always perceiving through it. This is the energy that, like, it's the difference between any excuse versus no excuses, right? It's the difference between, like, whatever that energetic hurdle is versus that difficulty point. And so even now, a lot of this pathwork of purpose, to a certain extent, it's heavy, it's hard. But that's why you have to look at obstacles and say to yourself, especially if you're navigating them, that an obstacle is effectively how many times you did not succeed before you were able to energetically succeed, right? Don't let the energetic obstacles move you off of your prioritization point. Let them reaffirm your commitment in relationality to what it is that you're moving towards. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Chariot. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Strength card. If you would like to become a part of that class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each month. You'll also have access to the full library of the Tarot Church classes. So that is 8 hours worth of material that will be a part of your subscription. It's not necessary to catch up. I will be giving a recap in each and every class in relationality to the classes that we recently held that led us to the card that we're finding ourselves at. But the material's there for you to receive when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you so much if you're just joining us there for the first time, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And if you are a subscriber here on TikTok, I would encourage you to head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel. There you will find a special coupon code that will grant you an additional discount on that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I post my weekly newsletter there that'll let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. It will also let you know about our giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, we are in the process of holding our November giveaway is now reached a conclusion point. I will be announcing the winner this week over on my Substack, so make sure that you're following me there if you'd like to know who won. We are also, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for those students that are invested in having a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, because those classes are personalized for each individual person. Those can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series that is 4 45-minute classes, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.